weapon called the Hoe of Destruction.
Yeah.
That's
Well, my favorite
like a garden
mods that
hoe.
actually add content, because Skyrim doesn't really have dungeons. There's a lot of crypts and stuff. There's a couple places you could kind of consider a dungeon, but it's really just like a bunch of underground things that are a single tunnel that kind of winds around, comes to the end, and there's a back door so you can get out easily. Skyrim's kind of boring that way.
I noticed that. Yeah, so this does add one dungeon. I don't know what the layout of it is like, but it seems pretty extensive. And it's like one of the, I guess, more powerful weapons that they added to the game. You have to go through the dungeon to get. I don't know if it's the Blackrock sword, which is sort of the most powerful weapon in Ultima, or if it's some other sword or something. But I don't think it is, because it looks like you have to craft Blackrock sword, which you have to do in Ultima to get. You have to craft it. It's like the only thing in Ultima that you have to craft. But yeah, I was looking through this mod. I'm like, oh my god, I have to have this. This looks fantastic. So I did buy Skyrim again on PC this time, because it was on sale.
Okay.
Like it's 50% off. I'm practically losing money if I don't buy it.
I don't know. I don't think that's how that works.
Felt like it.
If it was like
Oh, am I-
110% off, then you'd be losing money if you don't buy it.
Yeah, really. Am I echoing rebellious pastry series?
Are you?
Echoing? Don't know.
You might. Let me double check. How about now? Talk.
Testing. Is the audio fixed?
Yeah.
I mean, you sound...
I think it's because oh, you know what? I had one of my virtual inputs on to let Invincible through last night because I didn't feel like jumping things around. And you must be on that same channel. That's probably why you were echoing. Should be fine now because I turned that input off.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, she says good now.
Thank you.
Great.
I didn't even notice that was happening because I was talking enough that I thought that volume coming through my mic was just me. Yeah.
Well,
so
we're here.
We are here. And welcome to the Vomitorium. Weekday show for the 20th of May, 2021. Can you believe we've made it to 2021? We've already been it for several months, and I'm surprised. I thought the whole world would have just imploded on itself by now.
I can't believe that it's May 20th. Like, where did May go?
Where did everything go? Like, why are we not still in, like, January? Come on. But as always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How are you today?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. I had pizza from my favorite pizza place, so it's always a good day.
I had some sort of chicken dish. Something involving chicken and pasta.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. I'm hypnotized by this, I guess, graphic GIF, whatever, of someone putting on a sock.
Well, apparently I'm doing better than most of the internet is.
Oh?
Have you seen why the internet is so sad today?
Yes.
Yeah,
I have.
Because famous mangaka Kentaro Miura, we only found the news out recently, but as of the 6th of this month, so almost a whole month ago, passed away. And anybody who doesn't know Kentaro Miura's name, he is the creator of Berserk, which a lot of very popular characters and franchises probably wouldn't exist without the influence of Berserk. So it is a very sad day for many, many people indeed. We're seeing vigils everywhere, from the real world all the way to MMOs. I saw there was a Dark Knight visual, since the Dark Knights in that game are the ones that ended up using those types of great swords in Final Fantasy XIV. And I've just been seeing it all over the internet. Everybody's paying homage to this guy, who... I'm like, you wouldn't have characters like Cloud or Ichigo from Bleach or the entire heavy weapon arsenal from Monster Hunter. All kinds of influences come from Guts and Berserk, and Miura is the person we have to thank for that.
And he didn't finish. He didn't finish Berserk, did he?
Nope. And now
I guess chapter to go.
It's as finished as it's ever gonna be.
I guess it is now.
Yeah. That's a lot of people like, man, I don't want to get into Berserk now because now that he's dead, I feel like I'd be a fake fan. It was like, no. You're only a fake fan if you're pretending you got into it earlier than you did. Now's a great time to hop in. Appreciate the man's legacy, his work. Go and read it. Dive in, indulge yourself. Just, don't lie and be like, oh yeah, I've been a fan of this thing for years that I've only just touched today.
Yeah. Of course, that's the thing about manga and most of gaming, is that it's very welcoming of new fans who actually like it.
Yeah.
Actually enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Don't indulge.
Yeah, personally, I don't know how many people I would recommend Berserk to, because it is a very, very dark story. I mean, really fucking dark. Where you've got things like rape and shit in it. Like, If you like dark things and you're mature and it can handle it, I would totally recommend it. Great story, very well written. It's a very what's it called? It's a story about tribulation, right? Somebody who overcomes great hurdles. Even using that giant sword, because Guts spends, there's almost like a montage of him using smaller swords and working his way up to the bigger sword until he can finally just wield this massive fucking thing. Like, they kind of do it right. You don't ever see that in most games or stories where somebody uses a sword like that. You catch them at the point that they're using it, but Guts, you actually get to see him working his way up to that sword. But if you're a little faint of heart and you can't handle, like, demons fucking up the entire world and stuff like that, maybe don't read Berserk. I would probably give it like an M rating. It's definitely it's not shonen, it's seinen. It's for adults. Yep.
So did redo of Healer take anything from that?
I don't know. I still haven't watched anything of Redo of Healer.
Yeah.
It's not really the type of thing that I end up reading or watching.
Well, it's good from what I've seen. I've only seen like the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Much like Invincible, I've only seen the first 3 episodes.
I watched all of it this morning.
How many episodes are there?
I don't know. It's short. It's like your average modern day season. Something, I don't know, like 8 episodes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're each an hour long, or they're 45 to 50 minutes. I don't know. I wasn't too impressed by it. I didn't hate it or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing to write home about. There were certain characters I really enjoyed. Like, obviously, I don't want to spoil it, but everybody kind of knows the ending because of the memes at this point. Despite the way the character becomes, I did really like Omni-Man. That's the most I'm going to say on that. Yeah.
I don't know much about the ending.
Okay, but that's all I'm going to say on that is.
Yeah. I don't really understand what's going on in that scene, so.
Okay. And there are things that I know of from the comics later on too that doesn't spoil the way that I like some of the characters that I ended up liking. Mm-hmm. That's because, I like characters that become pieces of shit, as long as they're, well-written characters, right? A piece of shit character can be a well-written character.
He was a piece of shit from the very beginning.
Yes.
From the very first episode, so.
Yeah, but you don't know why he's a piece of shit in the first episode.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Or like Adam Eve. I like Adam Eve, but yeah, she kind of becomes somewhat of a piece of shit later on.
Oh, really?
Not within the time frame of this show. And that would be next season or the season after that, depending on how much they pace with the comics.
Well, I'll be interested to find out what happens.
Yeah.
Elric says it sucks that the author of Berserk passed away.
Yeah.
Joshua says Marsupial has only seen the hentai scenes.
Hentai scenes?
I have not. I don't know.
Redo of Healer?
Yeah. I don't know if there are any, or at least the version I saw had everything
censored out or cut away, or
censored out.
Wasn't actually in the show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So no, I haven't seen that.
I know there's some dark scenes in it.
Yeah.
At least in the original version. I don't know what they actually kept for the anime.
Yeah. They kept. I don't know if they kept everything, but they definitely kept the controversial scenes that I could. But anyway, so Berserk. What's the guy's name again?
Kentaro
the character?
Miura. Oh, the character. That's Guts is the main character.
Is that who Butts was?
Yeah, actually, I do believe that Butts' name was a reference to Guts. I think directly.
Yeah. Interesting. from Final Fantasy V.
Yeah. Like, you could tell that the Final Fantasy team, like many people, were heavily influenced by Miura's work. Actually, most what you would call high fantasy from the Japanese setting was directly influenced by Berserk. Not all of Final Fantasy, because the very first Final Fantasy, and I believe 2, came out before Berserk started in production, but it became so popular so fast that you can start to see it in later entries, because Berserk started production in 1989.
Well, like you said, Cloud and the Buster Sword and all that kind of stuff.
Well, even certain stuff as far back as 5 and 6 were directly influenced from it.
So this was a popular manga in Japan.
Even in the West as well.
Yeah.
More popular in Japan, but I actually had the stats up somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. It sold over 50 million copies worldwide, and with 1.2 million copies in just North America alone. So it's a fairly popular series. It's actually one of the, what's it called, better selling series. I don't believe it's definitely not on the top 50 list, but it is somewhere on like the top 100 or so franchises, just because of all the other stuff sold around it. It's had several video games as well. Most of them suck, sadly enough.
Yeah. It's had video games? What video games?
Yeah, there's a Berserk video game.
Is it like an RPG or what?
There's like a hack and slash one. Most of the games go to the same point. They basically go up to the boat scene where they're about to fight the sea monster. That's usually where the games cut off. They never go beyond that.
Oh, look at that. Berserk and the Band of the Hawk.
Yeah.
From 2016. Known in Japan as Berserk Musou. Musou? Interesting.
If it's a Mosu game, that's those are the Dynasty Warriors. That's what that series is. Like Hyrule Warriors is a Mosu game.
Oh, okay. Well, so this is a Dynasty Warriors whatever spin-off, because it's the same company.
Yeah. If you see that word, it's a Warriors game. That's what that means.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it even says it's part of the Dynasty Warriors series. Interesting.
Yeah.
Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. Huh. Interesting. Oh, I wonder if is that out for Switch? Doesn't look like it. Also, Sword of the Berserk, Guts Rage for Dreamcast.
Yeah, it goes back. They've had several different games. And none of them ever finish, obviously, because the story wasn't even finished. The story... Yeah. I don't know, though. Like, there's only like a chapter left. He's got notes. Maybe they pull in an assistant to finish it. I don't know. It might be disrespectful, though. It might just end right there.
The only other one was only released in Japan and Korea. So really the only one that you would even want to play seems like this Dynasty Warriors one.
Yeah, and it's the one that goes the furthest out of all of the like 3 games or so. Yeah, which makes sense too. It's the most recent, so it's going to go furthest in the story.
So was he releasing new chapters just constantly ever since?
Oh, it was like, you get this a lot with these long-term publications. They'll go hiatuses and stuff like that, and you get like sporadic releases. It's fairly consistent, though. It's a pretty long series.
Yeah, it seems like it's been going for, what, 30 years? Something like that.
Yeah, people wonder, it's like, this is a very big fear that people have with a lot of these long-running series with these mangaka that like overwork themselves and force themselves to go on a hiatuses, like Oda, for who does One Piece, has the same problem. One Piece has been going on for like over 20 years now, and people are afraid that Oda's going to work himself to death and never finish One Piece, even though One Piece was supposed to finish like 2 years ago. They're like, yeah, we're 1,000 chapters. We're coming to the end. This has to be the last volume. It still hasn't ended.
Apparently, there are 40 volumes of Berserk.
Yeah.
The original run came out when Kentaro Miura, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah, it's
was
Miura.
22. Started when he was 22. I heard a story that he went to an art school and he was essentially kicked out because the teacher basically said to him, "There's nothing I can teach you."
Well, yes and no. He was apprenticing under the guy who made, what's it called? God, I'm trying to remember the name. It's Ippo. What's the full name of Ippo? It's let me get it real quick. I'm gonna kick myself for not remembering the name of this. Hajime no Ippo, which is a famous boxing manga. He's basically Little Mac. He's a guy, very talented. He has to build up his ability, and he's punching way above his weight class, right? And he was one of the assistants on Hajime no Ippo, and the guy basically just dismissed him because he's like, I don't have anything to teach you. You already got it all. Yeah.
I guess he made his first manga when he was 10?
Yes, yeah. For his school's publication. It was like an in-school magazine thing.
So is he basically self-taught artist?
And he's a great self-taught artist. If you've ever seen basically any of his work. Like, some of those Berserk panels are crazy. And it looks like he would have spent days on them, but obviously he doesn't have time to spend days on anything. He just whips them out real fast. He's got really fast, precise lines. And
so did he do the art and the writing?
Yes. As is
was it all
very traditional. There's most of the time in manga, at most, you might have like an artist-writer combo with a few assistants that go uncredited. Or the artist in the manga, more often than not, the artist and the writer is just the mangaka. And they'll have a few, he had assistants. Like some of the background work were filled in by people that wasn't him. He did a lot of the backgrounds himself, though, because he was very controlling of it. But a lot of the background work, assistants come in and fill in, and they'll do like hatching and things that are like basic techniques that anybody would be able to do. But all the character work, all the action scenes, a lot of the crazier backgrounds, that was all done by him. And he was the one controlling the production of the story, where it was going, all that stuff.
Was the manga all in black and white?
Yes. So a lot of times it's just him sitting there, maybe some rough pencils, but then just sometimes I've actually seen some of these mangaka do like videos where they show off their work. Some of them don't even pencil. Right? Some of them, they just go straight to it. I'm like, you guys are fucking madmen. How do you do that?
Mad lads, yeah. It's amazing. So mangaka is Japanese for a manga creator? Or
yeah, just period manga creator. If you are a writer or an artist, both are equally called mangaka. In that sense, or ga, it's the same syllable. It's just a heavy ga sound. Basically, it's like a job or profession or a path in that case. It's the thing that does. It's like a state of being. So a mangaka is one who does manga. So it doesn't matter what job you are in there. If you do manga, you're a mangaka.
Cool. We don't have a single word for a comic book creator, I guess.
No, we just call them comic creators. We have to use two different words for it.
Yeah. Mangaka.
Yeah. It's a cool word too. Cause like, man, it's like a title. You feel official if you were called that.
Yeah. Well, it must be a fairly recent term. I mean, how long have there been? Oh, I guess manga.
No, manga's been around forever. I mean, look at last year was the 100th anniversary of the Tezuka manga contest, right? Because it started back in like in the 20s. So manga's been around for a long time.
I guess so.
Because Tezuka was making manga before the contest was around.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the mindset of TV and video games, but honestly, it, for all we know, could have been around for thousands of years, right? I mean,
well,
writing,
no, there has to be some type of printing for manga to be a thing. It'd be around as long as newspapers were around, probably in the same case, right? It's the same here. Comics have been around almost as long as newspapers. Whenever they got to the point that they didn't have to use the letter set press, when they actually got what is the ability to reprint newspapers fast, then you could start having images in newspapers too, and that's about when comic strips started, and then we got comic books shortly after that.
Yeah. Which originally were on newsprint.
Yeah. And manga's very similar in its history. It's basically, and you see this several times, and it's all for the same reason. But the industries for comics in North America, in Europe, and in Asia all were convergent evolution, right? It was everybody had a newspaper industry because of the printing press. And once people were able to put images in their newspaper, everyone basically just developed sequential art in the same way, just separately from each other.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's cool to see how the world just develops all into the same direction. Like, of course, all of us, we all want pictures in our stuff.
Yeah. And then we had anime titties, and went from there.
Well, anime titties clearly could not exist before anime, but we had manga titties before that.
Right. But if you can draw, that's what you're gonna draw, right?
Cave titties. Just titties painted on the cave wall.
That's right.
Because who wouldn't? I mean, if I was a caveman, I'd be painting those titties on the wall. I'd be the most popular caveman too.
Yeah. He has a few Shonen Jump magazines printed on newspaper. Well, I mean, if you order from Alterna Comics, they print their comics on newspaper even today.
Well, so they don't actually use newsprint in Shonen Jump anymore. It's something very similar, but like the page print, it's more crisp than newspaper is. And newspaper is already a very crisp paper as it is. It's actually closer to, like, have you ever bought a coloring book from like a dollar store or something like that, right? And there's that like yellow toned crisp paper inside the coloring book. It folds very well. It could tear if you started the tear, but you're not worried about a kid tearing it. That's the kind of paper that's inside like a Shonen magazine, like a Jump magazine. It's similar to newsprint. It's very cheap. It's cost effective. That's why these coloring book companies use it. But if you weren't really paying attention, you could easily mistake it for newsprint.
Yeah. Thinking, no, this isn't quite. I'm looking at Rick's coloring book. It's a little bit thicker than that.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking
His
about.
is almost like printer paper.
Yeah. But yeah, they print on very thin, kind of newsprint-like paper. It's almost like recycled paper or something.
Yeah, or like parchment almost, like it was made out of hemp or something, or cotton.
Yeah.
Very cheap.
Well, that's sad. Yeah, I saw the procession, or whatever you want to call it, the thing in Final Fantasy 14 where everyone was wearing black and had a had a light in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was a campfire technically, but
yeah, everybody made their campfires. It was
yeah, it showed like an aerial view, and it was amazing. So all these people lined up on either side of, I guess, this main road, and with their it's like a candlelight vigil.
Yes, it was a vigil. And they pretty much everybody switched to the Dark Knight class so they could have their oversized swords in front of them doing it. They all used the same emote, the one where you just stand there with the sword facing the ground, and everybody stood there with their campfires in front of it.
Yeah. How long did that go on?
I don't know, for a really long time, because right before we started the program, I saw that was it Brian Ball of Rags Comics had just tweeted somebody like 3 minutes before we started that he was still in the vigil. So that went on for quite some time. And it's not like you have to be active. Once you have the emote set, you pretty much just have the game on the screen and your character is just there participating in the vigil. You could walk off and do other things if you really wanted to.
Yeah. There's no chance of anyone coming in and killing everyone.
No, I mean, you're in town.
You're in a safe zone.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, Elric brings up a good point. If you go to Barnes & Noble right now, I'm sure a lot of them are sold out now.
Probably, yeah.
Berserk. I wonder if I should go down to I don't know if I'd be interested in it or not, but I might as well check it out. I've never read it. If I go down to my LCS right down the street, I bet they have something.
Yeah, maybe. I would recommend people getting Volume 1 first before investing heavily into Berserk and actually reading the volume and seeing if you like it. It's a little, it's a dark series in general. Volume 1 is a little bit darker than everything that comes after it, or up until you get to Volume 6. But for a little bit it's gonna be a little lighter, but it basically lets you know this is how heavy the series is gonna be. It actually starts out really pleasant. It doesn't let you know how dark it's gonna be until you get a few chapters in.
So have these been in continuous print for 30 years?
Yeah, they still reprint the volumes and everything, yeah.
And it's all in English.
Yeah. It's really popular. If something's popular, you still print it. It sells money. Something the American comic book company doesn't apparently understand. They only do limited reprints. When something like Spider-Man #1 from way back in the day would always sell all the time.
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, I guess if there's 40 volumes, I hope they have #1. I'll go find out.
So Elric says Barnes & Noble literally had to make room for manga just to keep up with the demand.
Oh, yeah, it's through the roof. There's obviously a clamor for comic books. They're more popular than ever, but nobody wants to read North American comic books. That's for damn sure. Because they're crap. They're complete crap. So the manga filled the void. It's like everyone's
manga
I want to read comics, but good comics.
BDs are still really popular too. It's just you don't get too many of those translated over here. People who can read French and stuff, or even Italian. French and Italian comics do really well in their area, but a lot of them just don't get translations, right? The reason manga sells better than everything here is because their manga has a foothold, so there are translations easily available. And personally, I do read some translated stories, and I tend to like the Japanese stories more. But I feel like the French and Italian stories are good enough that if they were getting proper translations, plenty of people would be reading them. Because they also don't suffer from the same bullshit that's going on in the American comic industry.
Yeah. It's just, like you said, they don't have that foothold yet. They started too late, I guess.
They just don't bother translating. That's the real thing. You'd have to partner up with a translation company, and nobody distributes them in that way. You'd have to import them, and they're going to be in French or Italian. And there's some other smaller industries there too, but the two big ones are French and Italian.
Right. Who wants to read German comic books? Come on.
I would if there was a good one. I mean, it'd be a lot easier to understand. English and German are very, very close languages. I mean, English is a Germanic language. It's a lot easier for you to pick up what's going on in a German book if you speak English than it is in, like, a Romantic language.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, slightly off topic. I don't know if you saw my tweet. I was asking you if you remembered who did the lettering on Florida Man.
Oh, I saw it. I think I was still in bed at the time, like, lying there, and I just completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I figured.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I have the comic right here.
Yeah. Do you want to read it to me?
Yeah, the letterer's name was Warren Montgomery. It was one of the few things I thought was fairly good about the book.
That's what I thought you said. And there was somebody.
I feel like I could have done a better job.
Yeah, there was somebody out there. Luke Stone Studios is apparently looking for a letterer and having a tough time finding one. And I remember you said that the lettering was very good.
Yeah.
In there, so I'll see if I can find Warren Montgomery on Twitter and tag him.
Like, if the paycheck was good enough to actually warrant my time, I feel like I could have done a better job than Montgomery did.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell this guy that you're available?
No, I don't got the time.
Okay.
Not unless he was paying more than what most letterers actually charge, because average like letterers will charge maybe $15 to $20 a page, which is fair. I mean, if I had a lot more time, I wasn't so soaked up in the number of projects I was doing, $15 to $20 a page is great. But because I'm soaked up in so many projects, that's why I would have to charge more. To do a page, depending on what they want on the page, it doesn't take that long at all. Probably it's less than an hour a page.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're making $20 an hour, that's not too bad.
Yeah. That's my normal rate for most things is $20 an hour that I charge. It's just I'm also already locked into a bunch of different things. That's why I'd have to charge more.
Yeah. Joshua asked, why didn't Todd want to draw that one guy? I think we went into that, didn't we? Yesterday?
We did. We don't need to go back over it, but it's it's because it's too much of a caricature. That's the real reason.
Yeah. Good to be here every day, Joshua, if you don't want to miss things. Yeah, he didn't want to draw what he saw as a stereotype, I guess.
Yeah.
So anything else going on with this guy as far as in the world of manga?
No, because the other things he's worked on have all basically come to an end. Which is why Berserk would be in and out. He'd go work on something else for a while, then he'd come back to Berserk, then he'd go and work on something else, then he'd come back. As you see happen. He's also worked on like King of Wolves, Uruden, what was some other ones? Doranki. He's got a few different things under his belt, but
has Dark Horse published all of his stuff in the United States, or has it gone through other?
I don't know. Dark Horse, I know is what started, because Dark Horse is kind of who started bringing manga to the U.S. in the first place.
Yeah.
Back, and it was actually Stan Lee, I believe, was the one that convinced them to. If it wasn't for Stan, we really wouldn't be having manga here. He's like, look at these talented guys. Somebody should start localizing their stuff. But much of it, I don't know, maybe Viz. Viz is like the other big distributor of manga here in the West, and that's... you would know Viz has done a lot of stuff with Shonen. Viz originally did Dragon Ball. Viz has also done a lot of other things that weren't Jump, like Inuyasha and Ranma were done with Viz. And for a long time, it was basically just Dark Horse and Viz were the distributors of manga here. But once Dark Horse kind of stopped, I think Viz took up most of their books too. So I don't know. I really don't know who's done all of Berserk. It would make sense because Berserk's dark, and Dark Horse, like the title, did a lot more mature books than, say, their competitors did.
Yeah, it looks like King of Wolves was published by Dark Horse.
Yeah. He
made one called Japan. a manga called Japan.
Yeah.
That was also published by Dark Horse. Maybe they all were. Yes, they were. Gigantomaxia. Did you mention that?
Gigantomachia.
Gigantomaquia. There you go.
Yeah.
Also published by Dark Horse.
Yeah.
So I guess they did all of it.
Yep.
At least all the ones that are listed on on Wikipedia. Good for them.
Yeah. Well, this is the way like
Good
Japan
advantage.
does things. This is why in video games you can get things that end up in like license limbo. Because the way copyright works with Japan is when somebody creates an original idea, even if they create it under the publication of another company originally, they are always joint owners of that idea, right? It's not like if you were hired by Marvel, they'll give you royalties for a character you create that's not just like a knockoff of another character. But they really don't have to because you made it under them. That's just their way of doing fair business practices. But in Japan, if you were to create a new idea under a publishing company, you will always be, your estate will be a joint owner of that idea. If the company goes out, you'll become the sole owner, and they really can't do anything with your idea without your permission. You basically become like the last say in it, outside of like reprinting and redistributing things that you've already made with them.
So unlike here, where it's kind of considered work for hire, right?
Yeah.
But they have royalty agreements.
Yes.
So you don't have any control. Once you leave the company, you lose completely control of the IP. You just get paid for it.
Yes. But in Japan, you always partially own your property, or fully own. You both are full owners in partnership with each other. So, like, if Sega made a game with somebody, and that person was, like, the sole creator of the idea of the game, if they leave the company, that game ends up in, like, a copyright limbo where even Sega really can't make new games. They can just only redistribute the ones that were already made with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds more complicated, but I mean, in ways, that way, like if you create a character for Marvel or DC, they can't go and ruin it without your permission.
Yeah.
Which would be nice, but I can see how that would be very, very complicated.
Well, especially with the way they want to do things at Marvel and DC, right? Because everything's such a conjoined universe that from their perspective, nobody is coming up with a new idea. Your thing exists within the world they've already created.
Yeah.
It's not like when a mangaka comes with an idea, their story, they get hired to write the story that they've already submitted. You have a new world right there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and also I think it would make it overly complicated. You couldn't do something like an Avengers movie because you'd have to contact 50 different people to try like, it's okay if we use your character and your character and your character.
Or they would have had to already have sold the right. They're like part of the rights to the person.
Yeah. So I guess
that's why you don't end up with these things outside of video games, right? And because the video games, the way the rights work, it's always, well, here's all these jump characters in the same game. Because while we can't make a story with all of them together, we can make a crossover video game. Because that's the property rights that we own to it.
Mm-hmm. This sounds like a familiar song.
It should.
Something from Final Fantasy VI, right?
Yes.
Where is this from? I'm looking at the title. Anyway. Gobble, snarf, snap. Now I have to look it up.
Ba, 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 ba.
What part of the game? Oh, the Phantom Train.
Yeah.
There we go. I knew it sounded familiar.
Yeah, you just played this part not too long
I
ago.
know. Like, that sounds very, very familiar.
No, I knew you weren't going to get it from the title because the title is like way off compared to what the song is.
Yeah. I guess it's related to the scene where they go to the dining car.
Yeah.
And eat a meal.
Yeah, I do think it would be better in the long run if companies took ideas from Japan. Because I think I've explained how they handle fan works in Japan too before with doujinshi. Where as long as you're like an individual and you're not like a huge company making money off of somebody else's property, you can like personally sell fan works. Like you can print off a doujinshi and sell it at a convention, and it's fine because it's labeled a fan work. Nobody's going to be confused by it.
Yeah.
In fact, doujins are very popular. I mean, people read them all the time. Here in the West too, like people get them translated. A lot of doujins are hentai. A lot of people just incorrectly think that doujins are inherently sexual things. Like, no, it's just all the doujins you've read are hentai because you're a pervert and that's what you're looking for.
What does doujin mean?
Doujin is short for doujinshi, which literally just means fan work.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
It literally just translates to fan work, and people call them doujins instead of the longer word. And I actually have a doujinshi policy on my site for people who are interested in X Dynamis Chaos. And it's literally, if you like the characters and you like the story elements and stuff, you can basically just make your own story, and you can sell it as long as you're just an individual. You're the only person profiting off of it. And it's clearly labeled that this is a non-canon work. It's a fan work.
Yeah.
I'll even promote
you can make Sonic fan art that's not disgusting and degenerate. It's just that, that's what everybody
Well,
does.
that's weird. I mean, you can. Once they see it as commercial, that's once it gets into the gray area. But video games is very different. They don't have like the same culture that manga does, which is why you're far more likely to see a video game company come down. But Sega's been really good at it. Instead, they'll C&D certain things, but then they'll come and hire you to do something for their company.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, that's really smart. See, I don't understand why Nintendo didn't just flat out hire the people that did another Metroid 2 remake. God, they would have been great to work on a new game.
Yeah, but they didn't. And Capcom used to have this really good program too called Capcom Unity, which was consumer works. They were the fans making things, and they would actually host it on the Capcom Unity website where you could download it. And it's like, yeah, as long as it's free, we don't give a shit. Put it up there, heart's consent. Because the thing about Japan is most of these companies understand that the fans are what make your business, and as long as the fans are engaged and they're happy and they're remembering that your product exists, they are far more likely to buy your next product and make you money.
Yeah, I wish they would understand that, especially when it comes to Metroid, because like there's so many fans that would love to make fan-made games, or maybe a manga, or spin-off or something, but they're so scared because Nintendo's gonna knock them down.
And Elric is right. That is how the current artist of Dragon Ball Super got his job. Toyotaro was a fan artist who made Dragon Ball AF. He was hired to work on well, he also did some assistant work before that, but he was hired to work on GT. And GT, despite a lot of people complaining, did so well, and he understood the world so well too, that he was also hired to work on the manga for Super once it started coming back through. It's a good way of finding talent. Like, hey, this guy understands my work. He's very talented. I could hire you.
Yeah, yeah. Rick, I want to know if Rick finished Portal, because I watched his whole video yesterday. He didn't quite get to the end.
Yeah, because Portal 1's a really short game.
Yeah. I want to watch him play and give him hints, but he doesn't live stream anymore.
It's probably for the best.
Maybe he doesn't want to have hints.
I mean, yeah, it's a puzzle game. Why would you want hints? The whole point is figuring out the puzzle.
Oh, I know. I have a friend who's been playing through the King's Quest games from. She's beaten 1, 2, and 3 so far, but every time I watch her, I'm like, keep your mouth shut, I'm like, oh, I know the solution to that puzzle, but I'm not going to say it. She doesn't want to know.
Well, speaking of Sonic the Hedgehog, since it was brought up, the plot to the second Sonic the Hedgehog movie was leaked.
Really?
Yeah. And so it was in the copyright information, because they got the copyright page. You do have to put like a synopsis of the work when you go to register it for a copyright. And I read the synopsis, and it's basically just fucking Sonic and Knuckles.
Really? With Tails in it too, right?
Yeah. Which, anybody knows how Sonic and Knuckles works. It was a game on its own, but it was also like a base, like a Game Genie or whatever, and you could put the other Sonic games in the top, and you could play Knuckles in those games as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah. It was like a DLC expansion, as well as being its own game.
So I don't mind if you spoil it. What is and I've never played, what is the general plot of Sonic and Knuckles?
Okay, so the plot of Sonic and Knuckles was that there's this like Master Emerald, right? And Eggman tricks Knuckles into thinking that Sonic is trying to steal the emerald, while he's the one that's going out and trying to steal it. And Knuckles is such an idiot that he listens to Eggman, and he gets into a beef with Sonic, and they're basically both racing to get the emerald before Eggman does. Even though Knuckles isn't aware that that's what he's racing to do. The plot to this movie is, after settling in Green Hills, Sonic is ready for more freedom, and Tom and Maddie agree to leave him at home while they go on vacation. Tom and Maddie being the human characters from the first one. But no sooner are they gone when Dr. Robotnik comes back, this time with a new partner, Knuckles, in search for an emerald that has the power to both build and destroy civilizations. Sonic teams up with his own sidekick, Tails, and together they embark on a journey to find the emerald before it falls in the wrong hands. So yeah, it's basically just Sonic and Knuckles. That's the plot of the movie.
So is it the first appearance of a Chaos Emerald?
Yeah.
Is that right? Because eventually there's more Chaos Emeralds, right?
Yeah, well, there's the Chaos Emeralds, and there's also the Master Emerald, which is a completely different emerald, but it is tied to the Chaos Emeralds. It's also a way to control them. Which Knuckles is the guardian of the Master Emerald. That is his job.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the only time that Knuckles was tricked by Eggman. Knuckles is an idiot.
It's funny.
I think it would actually be a good setup for the lore is if the Master Emerald was used first and it broke and it caused the Chaos Emeralds to go haywire, because this doesn't have to follow the exact lore of the games. They've already diverged from it. And that would be how people found out about the Chaos Emeralds, and it would be a good setup point, right? But to me, this sounds like this should have been movie number 1. And this is what like the first plot should have been. Sonic and Tails with Eggman trying to get an emerald that could destroy civilizations. Whether Knuckles was involved in it or not, this really should have just been the plot to the first movie. And it feels like I don't know. I think enough people know Sonic the Hedgehog, like without you don't have to know the lore, but know who Sonic is, that you really don't need a setup introduction movie to Sonic and Eggman. Like at least those two characters. I don't think it's necessary. And I'll be honest, I hated the first movie.
Well, the only thing that bothered me about the first movie is that it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, nothing made sense.
Especially when watching. Sorry, I watched the movie theory where he proved that Sonic could actually check every building and every road in the entire country faster than it took them to drive to San Francisco.
Yes.
So, or LA or wherever they drove. But anyway, go
ahead. My biggest problem was the entire plot and the human and all that involved in it. That it basically just became a buddy road trip movie that didn't need to be a buddy road trip movie with a person. One, it could have been a buddy road trip movie with Sonic and Tails from the get-go, which would have been more like Sonic. If you had to involve people and Earth, they could have just made it Sonic X, which is just Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2 made into an anime. There was a kid named Chris who was like the main character, who was Sonic's buddy, and that would have been fine. But no, instead they just remade the movie Hop, but with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have done the movie based on was it Sonic 06?
Oh God, no.
The princess who made goo goo eyes at Sonic.
Yeah. We don't need freaking Sonic bestiality going on here.
She gets like kidnapped 3 times or something like that in the same game.
Are we gonna do the 2002 Sonic the Hedgehog OVA movie where he was like dating the president's daughter, who's clearly supposed to be a cat, but she looks like a monkey, but she's a human that just happens to have a tail?
Yeah.
What was her? I think her name was like Sarah or something.
Presumably Jim Carrey will be reprising his role.
Yeah, he didn't actually even seem like Eggman until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It was another movie, right? Like freaking Racket's complaints about Mortal Kombat. This was a prequel movie to Sonic the Hedgehog. That's all it was. Now, we're actually going to get the real Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and the first one was just a prequel movie to set up this movie. It was just the origin of Eggman. That was the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yeah.
I didn't need that. Yeah,
what did Metal say that hurt Elric's head? I missed it.
I don't
know. My head wasn't hurt by anything you said. But you blew Elric away.
Oh, the girl love interest? Oh, yeah. There was an OVA Sonic movie that happened around the turn of the millennia that was Sonic versus Metal Sonic. And there was a girl in there. There was a couple OVAs, too. It wasn't just that one. And she had, like, a tail. Otherwise, she looked like a human, but she had a tail. That was, like, the only thing about her. And she was supposed to be, like, an anthro. Like the rest of them, but she was just a person. And it was weird.
But she was
and it's cat? Not the first. Yeah, I think she was supposed to be a cat. I don't know. She was either supposed to be a cat or a monkey. I really can't tell. And she was like the daughter. Wouldn't be the first time that Sonic was dating the daughter of like a president or whatever. Sally Acorn was also like the daughter of the ruler of their place. That's why she was the leader of the rebellion. She was kind of like a Princess Leia character. But she was an actual person, like an actual anthro like Sonic, though.
Yeah. So was the president in that one a cat?
I don't remember what the president looked like, but if I recall, I think he was actually more of an animal than his daughter was. Like some animal was fucking a human at some point in this train. That's all I know.
God. Maybe this is like a distant sequel from Sonic 06.
Yeah.
When there wasn't.
But this was like way before Sonic 06 came out, like a whole like half decade. Because this was like around 2000. Yeah. They were preparing for it.
That's right. Oh, God. I think I only ever really played like it's extensively Sonic Generations on the PS2 or 3.
That movie had such a fucked ending for no reason. Because it was about, like, Eggman had created, like, Metal Sonic, right? That was the theme of this movie, which Metal Sonic's been around since, like, Sonic 1. As, like, a boss. But so, Sonic was fighting Metal Sonic, and he knew everything that Sonic knew, somehow. I don't know if Eggman got a hold of his DNA, but for some reason, his mind was, like, synced with Sonic despite being a robot. Right.
If you make a robot that looks like somebody, they just automatically know everything that person.
And that was even the problem. Is like he was talking to the president or whatever, and they found out it's like, yes, there's like a tectonic split at the North Pole with magma under it, and if you make an earthquake right there, it can destroy the entire planet for reasons. And Sonic was in the room. He's like, oh no. Now that Sonic knows this, so does Metal Sonic. And they have to go and they have this fight at the North Pole. And at the very end, Metal Sonic and Sonic come to terms with each other. And he's no longer a bad guy. But he falls into the lava and Sonic goes to like grab his hand. And Metal Sonic just like lets go and he's like, there can only be one Sonic, and just dies in the lava. I'm like, why? What was this movie? What was the ending?
So it has nothing to do with his DNA. They're obviously psychically linked.
Yes, somehow.
Doesn't even make sense. Well, like I said, once you create a robot that looks like another person, they just automatically are just.
God, what was the name of this?
The same person.
I gotta find the name of this. Sonic.
Is this a cartoon?
Yeah. Hedgehog OVA 2000. It was just Sonic the Hedgehog OVA. It was earlier than that. It was like 1996 or whatever.
What is OVA?
OVA was original video. It was basically direct-to-video. It's a Japanese thing. That was the OVA series that this came from, was the 1996. And then there was one of the two was the Metal Sonic thing. It was also known as Sonic the Hedgehog the movie.
Yeah, I'm confused. There's one that says 1996. Or maybe that's just a preview. It's only 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it says Sonic the Hedgehog the movie 1999.
I think that's when it came out in America, was in 1999. Which is why I'm remembering it's closer to 2000.
Well, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube, and I will put a link in the chat.
Yeah, her name was Sarah. That was it. I thought that was the character's name. I'm going to pull up a picture of this character for you guys, so you can see. I know we're coming to the end, but let me find a picture of Sarah, so you guys can be as confused as I was about this character.
Yeah, welcome, Eagle. We talked about that earlier. Most of the show, in fact, we talked about the creator of Berserk.
Yeah. Okay. Where is my window capture? Let me make sure it's capturing the right thing. Yeah. Okay. This was the character. It'll be on screen for you in a second or so. Her name was Sarah. I think she's supposed to be a cat. I mean, even like her ribbon or whatever on her hat on the head is supposed to be like the cat ears or whatever. But all she has is a tail. Otherwise, she looks entirely like a human.
That is not at all what I was picturing.
Yeah.
That's from that movie?
Yeah, that was from those 2 episodes. She had other costumes too.
She's basically
just a person.
What's her name? Or what's his name from Final Fantasy IX?
Yeah, Zidane, or some people just say Zidane.
Yeah, Zidane.
Yeah. And she was basically Sonic's girlfriend.
Oh God.
And there was her dad right there. No, her dad actually was person-esque. I mean, his features were a little more cat-like, the way his face and everything. I don't remember. See if there's like an image where it actually shows his back area, but
God.
Yeah.
So
No,
Sonic's
that's
been, like degenerate and weird for forever.
that is Sonic for you, right?
Oh my God.
Why do you think most furries come from Sonic? It promotes degeneracy.
Oh jeez, can't even.
And with that, we're at the end of the show.
Yeah, great way to end it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go watch that movie right now.
You know what? It's not a bad movie, the one with Metal Sonic. It's just like everything is what the fuck all the time. That's just like the constant emotion of that movie is just like, what the fuck am I watching? Like even Knuckles, he has a cowboy hat for some reason. Or whatever, like it's not quite a cowboy hat, it's more like that Australian version of it that's kind of the same. And like an Outback hat. And he's like digging holes, because that's what he does. And he's like pissed at Sonic the whole time. It's because Sonic jumped on his head while he was coming out of the hole. At the end of the movie, he's like chasing Sonic again. It's classic Mobius, though, for the most part. They're not actually on Earth. They're on Mobius. That's probably why there's that weird thing with the Arctic and the way their tectonic plates are. When you're working on a foreign world that's not in the same, like, physical realm as Earth, you can get away with a lot more stuff. Because you're like, okay, the physics works differently there. Because they separate. Mobius is in another, like, world or dimension than ours. It's not within our universe or whatever. But Mobius is weird. Like at one point there was the egg star. You know, freaking Eggman has his own Death Star.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, he has his own Death Star. And at one point, it's because it's like a small planet. It's just like chained to Mobius, I guess, so it doesn't float away. It's all weird. Sonic is a very weird world. Okay. So, you know, take that with what you will, and if you enjoyed the show, share it with somebody else who might enjoy it. We'll talk about more what the fuck stuff in the coming future. And if you really enjoy it, consider giving a donation to the Vomitorium Live. It's streamlabs.com/Vomitorium Live. And we'll see you in the next episode. Maybe tomorrow. I don't know yet. I'll let you know, Marsupial, ahead of time and everybody. But we may or may not have a visitor. I don't know streaming location and stuff this weekend. But I'll let everybody know.
Maybe we'll have a review of Sonic the Hedgehog the movie tomorrow.
Maybe we'll go watch that in the Discord. I don't know. Come into our Discord. We'll we sometimes stream movies and shows and stuff now. We got a room called the Amphitheater. Anybody can go in there, share whatever media they want. And we'll see you guys later.
See ya.